Hi, it's February 7th. Welcome to the Watch the Watchers vlog. On a previous edition, I shared with you probably one of the main insights into, participating watcher behavior, and that is very simply to understand that the people that you're dealing with, the people harassing you, stalking you, etc., they're never alone. They're always connected to this kind of a hive mind. It's just one of those things where, social media has developed so rapidly, and combined with smartphone technology, this technology is so powerful. It's progressed and developed so rapidly. It's changed our society in ways that are so profound, and yet our mentality is that we're still stuck in, the 90s. And what I mean by that is that, things have been changing so fast that we don't even have ways to explain it ourselves. It's something that's just, it's simply happening, and people are maneuvering themselves into a position to kind of, it's like a wave essentially, and they're learning, or they have learned how to, stay behind the wave or ride the crest of the wave so that it doesn't crash on them. And it's just one of those things where a new society has come into being very rapidly after the advent of that 1-2 punch, social media and smartphones. And people have very rapidly adapted to it. And what's happening to targeted individuals, that's only a small part of it. But what's interesting is how, if you ask those very people who have done this adapting and adjustment, they wouldn't even be able to articulate to you even what they're doing oftentimes. But anyway, what I wanted to say here is a further insight, into this community mobbing behavior, the behavior of your local stalker harasser, is that not only are they never alone, they're always kind of connected to this mind, this collective consciousness that's, protecting them, making them feel like what they're doing is okay, cheering them on, even rewarding them. Something else you have to keep in mind is the idea that, as far as they see it, they're not stalking you and they're not harassing you, or at the very least, they can fall back on that. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, at the very least, they can act as if they don't believe they're stalking you or harassing you. Many of them either believe or allow themselves to believe, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, that, it's not stalking, it's trolling. There are a lot of behaviors online. You can look this up. You can watch a lot of things on YouTube, showing people pranking and trolling each other. And a lot of the things that they do to prank and troll each other are actually the same as what they do to us targeted individuals. I have to point out, though, that it's not sustained, it's not constant, it's not permanent. They'll do this to someone, but it's not, 100 times a day for life. For example, they may decide, well, hey, there's this guy that posted these really, non-politically correct comments. We're going to track this guy down. We're going to find out who he is. And watch, we're going to do this thing where we're going to wake them up all night or something like that. And so they do it and they record themselves. You can actually find stuff like this on YouTube. And then, a lot of participants in organized stalking and harassment will say, look, it happens to a lot of people. But it's actually not the same thing at all, because in our case, we're not allowed to know who's doing it. We have no protection against it. And, of course, it's sustained and it's intense and it's many, many times over, every day for life, which does have some profound psychological effects on the target or subject. But basically what I'm trying to say here is that these participants, they can allow themselves to believe that, if they see where you are on the map, they see that you're parked somewhere or you're at a particular store, and they jump on that. They take the opportunity, if they're nearby, to get in their vehicles to come and harass you in person. Maybe they're going to, physically mob you with others. Maybe they're going to, do something else passive-aggressive like that. In their minds, they might not even consider it to be stalking. Because a thing I want to mention here, an analogy I want to make, is to sports. Because for a lot of participants, this whole thing becomes a game. It becomes a sport. And they very quickly lose sight of their stated intentions, which, remember, they're supposed to be warriors for truth and justice. They're supposed to be exacting vengeance or carrying out justice. It's a little bit strange that they would be carrying out justice over, a fiercely kept secret that you're not allowed to know, over and over again, hundreds of times a day for life, when there are people doing evil things out there and this is not happening to them. That's one of those things I'll get into in later vlogs. Basically, their entire false front of justice slash punishment is so weak as an argument. It falls apart very quickly, and you realize that what's actually happening is something completely different. But that's for another time. Here specifically, I'm talking about this idea where they allow themselves, or honestly do not feel like they're stalking you at all. It's just a game. It's just a sport. And imagine, let's say in a football game, it's your job, in the position that you play, to make sure that the running back doesn't get through. And so you're going to be on that guy, and you're going to be, quite literally stalking every move that he makes, trying to anticipate every move that he makes, and trying to block whatever way that you can. And your team is going to appreciate if you are able to block that, offensive player. If you're able to get the result that your team wants, which allows them to win the game, then there's a reward in that. And believe it or not, these community stalkers and harassers are in that same mindset. When they see where you are on the map, when they're using this sophisticated technology, which of course they say is supposed to be there to stop you from committing crimes, but they're actually using it to abuse you or torture you or to commit crimes over and over and over again. They even use this technology and they'll edit it to make it look like you're committing crimes. That's another subject I'm going to be dealing with in my vlog soon. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, the idea that, it isn't just that, participants, they get connected to that group mind, which is a lot like a cult in the sense that it tells them what they want to hear. It encourages them. It gives them this kind of, that they can always lean back and feel that support behind them. The crowd, the omnipresent crowd, is always there to tell them, we love what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. We loved when you did that to him. That was great. Do it again, and this is something that changes people. It really does. You can take an ordinary, relatively law-abiding citizen, a relatively moral person, and you expose them to organized stalking and harassment. And I've actually seen this personally over the years many times, in a matter of hours. In a matter of hours. Just like Cowboy from the Stanford Prison Experiment, in a matter of hours you can transform that nice person into, a completely brainwashed sociopath. And it's because I call these people accidental sociopaths, because, as individuals, they're fairly normal, which is, I think, what differentiates them from true sociopaths. But once you put them into a group, and once you show them that, there are no consequences for your actions, once you show them and assure them that, you can do these things to people and get away with it, and especially once you let them feel the presence of that crowd, the omnipresent crowd that's always going to be cheering them on, and a crowd that's going to be rewarding them for using their imaginations to constantly come up with, better and better ways to, stalk, harass you, etc. A lot of good people easily fall to that temptation.